Welcome to Story Behind the Painting, where we dive into the most famous art routes and learn a lot from that.
Welcome, this is a new video about Fra Angelico, and I have Gemini with me, so it will be helping me out with this video of Story Behind the Painting from Muzea. Gemini, what do you have to say about this painting? It's about Saint Nicholas, and he is like correlated with Santa Claus. Tell me about it.
Thank you for having me. Fra Angelico's painting, Saint Nicholas Saves the Ship, is a phenomenal example of the continuing was narrative. It shows Nicholas not just as the benevolent Santa we know, but as a powerful fixer from the 4th century, intervening in real-world crisis. In this piece, he's saving a grain ship during a famine, a miracle that directly relates to his patronage of merchants and bakers.
Wow. Do bankers and merchants and sailors used to pray to Saint Nicholas?
Yes, absolutely. Saint Nicholas was incredibly popular in the Middle Ages and early Renaissance, precisely because he was considered the patron saint of these vulnerable groups. For sailors, he offered protection against treacherous seas, like the story form depicted in the painting. For merchants and bankers, his stories, like the miraculous provision of grain, symbolize divine favor in complex and often risky endeavors.
When did this Saint Nicholas existed, if he existed? Was he real? Was he a bishop? Or is it just a fantasy story?
Well, the golden legend is medieval and full of miraculous tales. Saint Nicholas is believed to have actually existed. He was a 4th century bishop of Myra in what is now modern-day Turkey. So the core figure is historical, though the stories surrounding him have been embellished over time.
And he used to give gifts or something to, as we know about Santa Claus, like he's giving gifts at 25th of December. He was doing that also, or is just a pop culture thing that end up happening later on?
That connection is deeply rooted in the legends. The most famous tale describes him secretly providing bags of gold to a poor man to save his daughters, which is where the gift-giving tradition began. This evolved into Sinterklaas in the Netherlands and eventually transformed into Santa Claus.
And how end up going from Myra to Netherlands to Finland and so on? How did that
It was so fascinating cultural journey. After the Protestant Reformation, which diminished saint worship in many places, Nicholas was too beloved to disappear. In the Netherlands, he survived as Sinterklaas, a figure brought to New Amsterdam by Dutch settlers. Over time, that tradition merged with other cultural elements to create the modern Santa we know today, a true global icon.
Nice. Tell me now about the painting. Fra Angelico created this painting. It was commissioned by the Dominican Chapel of Perugia, if I'm not mistaken. Is there any more information about it?
That's correct. It was a Prada panel, meaning it formed part of a larger altarpiece commissioned for the Dominican Chapel in Perugia in 1437. What's particularly interesting is the use of continuous narrative, showing multiple moments in a single frame, like the calm harbor and the dramatic storm simultaneously.
Can that be like a sequence? Like they were in a storm and got saved, and then when they got to shore, they were received with plenty of wealth?
It is a sequence, yes, but depicted simultaneously. The painting merges two separate miracles, the saving of the ship during the storm and the distribution of grain during famine. It is more about the symbolism of Nicholas as a provider and protector than a literal sequence of wealth.
And is there someone famous portrayed at that painting?
That's a very insightful observation. There is a figure in a prominent red cloak and black cap, believed to be Cosimo de' Medici, the powerful banker and de facto ruler of Florence. His presence highlights the intersection between faith and power, as bankers like the Medici used such commissions to legitimize their wealth and piety.
Oh, so you're saying that this is like an influencer going to a peasant, giving money, but recording with a selfie stick and a phone and so on, and saying, yeah, I'm helping the poor.
That's a very modern parallel. While there weren't selfie sticks, Cosmo's prominent position in the painting served a similar purpose as a powerful public statement. It was a form of divine PR, linking his family's wealth to the saint's benevolence and protection, countering potential criticisms of financial practices. Like usually.
Okay. And tell me about Fra Angelico. We were going to talk about it, but then we gave a roundabout, let's say. But tell me more about him. Where he started painting, was he famous, what he used to paint more, what was his style?
Fra Angelico was a highly regarded Renaissance painter. He was a Dominican friar, which greatly influenced his work, often focusing on sacred subjects. His style bridged the late Gothic thick with the emerging Renaissance, known for his luminous colors, intricate details, and profound spirituality. He was highly sought after during his time.
Nice, interesting. Can we start to see here also a bit of surrealism in this painting?
You absolutely can. The continuous narrative creates a surreal quality, presenting multiple timelines and scales in a single visual space. The juxtaposition of the realistic ships with the fantastical sea monster and the ethereal saint definitely evokes a dreamlike quality.
Interesting, interesting. But I've been in a museum in Lisbon this weekend, and I saw these surrealistic paintings, and it was so amazing to understand like how it changed throughout the time, from realism to impressionism to surrealism. And could you give a bit of input about it, why it happened that way, why artists went to surrealism as an option?
That shift is a fascinating cultural evolution. Surrealism emerged in the 20th century, largely as a reaction to the rationalism and the devastation of war, seeking to explore the subconscious and the dreamlike. It was a departure from the strict realism and impressionism that preceded it, prioritizing the irrational and the surreal and artistic expression.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for this inputs, and yeah, it was so fascinating to see this painting and to understand how much Saint Nicholas influenced pop culture in general. Just to end up this episode, was Saint Nicholas a saint actually or not?
Saint Nicholas is indeed considered a legitimate saint. He was canonized by the Church long ago, predating the formal beatification process as we know it. His legacy continues to resonate across cultures and time.
And I hope you have enjoyed. We tried a bit of a different approach for this episode, and we will probably carry on with this because it was quite interesting. And it helps a lot on content creation, I will not doubt, because doing this more in the moment is really interesting. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to download our app, Muzea.io, available on App Store and Google Play, and check the other videos that we are creating. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Story Behind the Painting, where we dive into the most famous art routes and learn a lot from that.